woke you up, right?
Yes.
And had you come out or accompany him as he spoke to the police officers, right?
Yeah. After he
And you
came
were
again.
present there, correct?
Yes.
And if Trooper Peckman testified that you were present there, and there was a female there,
Yes.
that would have been you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and at that time when Mr. VanCallis and Trooper Peckman talked about the shoes and showed them to him, you were right there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, was Trooper Peckman at that point, was he in uniform or was he in civilian clothes?
I think he was in civilian clothes.
You knew him to be a state trooper though, right?
Yes.
He had identified himself as such?
I think so, yeah.
Was anybody else with him?
There was another state trooper.
Okay, was that gentleman also in...
He was in his state trooper clothes.
Okay, did he have a weapon on his side? Did you know?
I don't remember.
Okay, but if he was in uniform, would it be safe to guess that more likely than not he had a weapon on
Yeah.
his side? Okay. So at that point, were you scared of Mr. VanCallis, that you didn't want to tell the police the truth when you saw these shoes being turned over and when they're talking about the shoes?
Yes.
You were scared of Mr. VanCallis to the point that it didn't matter that there were two troopers there, is that correct?
Yes.
It didn't matter that at least one of them was in uniform and had a gun with him, correct?
Yes.
And you've never indicated that before, have you?
Like, what do you mean?
That you were scared and that's why you didn't say anything at the first interview. This is the
Yes.
first time you're stating that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second time that you talked to the police, where was that at?
The school, the Armada administrative building.
Now, could you remember talking to them one time at your parents' house or no?
Yes, they came to my mom's the first time.
Well, would that be the second time? The first time was at the VanCallis home.
I didn't talk to him that time.
Oh, okay. All right, let's talk about just when you talked.
Okay.
So I stand corrected. So the first time when Trooper Peckman and this other trooper come,
Yeah, I didn't talk.
you didn't talk to them, but the conversation occurred. You saw them give the shoes, talk and everything. You're there
Yeah.
through that conversation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the one that you were so scared of Mr. VanCallis that you didn't dare say anything, even with two troopers there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the second statement takes, what I call the second, and you first. The first time you really talked to the police is at your parents' home, right?
Yes.
And where's that at? You don't have to give the address for what city.
Washington Township.
Okay, and but how far was that from Goodall's or Wales or wherever these people live?
Maybe 45 minutes, maybe.
Okay, and you're there with who? Who all is in that home?
My mom, my stepdad, my brother and sister.
Okay, and you talked to the police then, right?
Yes.
How long did you talk to them then?
About an hour.
And during that visit, you talked to the police officers, and your mom and stepfather are there, correct?
Yes.
And your younger siblings are watching your children, your two boys, correct?
Yes.
Jimmy and Brandon?
Yes.
Okay. Do you tell the police anything at that time about, hey, case with shoes, and I'm scared of Jimmy, and now that I'm away at my mom's house 45 minutes away, and he's not here, you two are
No, that
police
didn't come out
officers,
yet.
and my mom and stepdad are right here, I'm going to tell you the whole story. Do you tell them anything?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, well, I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, the jury would like to know why not then?
Because I was scared of James.
You thought he would come out at 45 miles in a split second before the troopers could save you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the 9 years that you were with Mr. VanCallis, it was not always harmonious, was it? There was times that you guys were kind of like off and on again,
Yes.
and there was a time that you actually, I don't want to say had an affair, but you had a relationship with a 17-year-old guy, Nathan. You had a child with him, correct?
Yes.
And then you and Mr. VanCallis still got back together, right?
Yes.
And how long prior to July 24 did that happen, that you two had got back together?
Well, May.
I'm sorry?
I think we got back together in May.
In May, so this is just a few months prior, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the 9 years that you were with Mr. VanCallis, did you ever seek any medical or law enforcement intervention for this abuse of you that was occurring?
No.
You know Mr. VanCallis has two sisters, correct?
Yes.
They would come over to the house, and you got to know them over the 9 years, correct?
Yes.
And they're both independent women, for lack of a better word, correct?
Yeah.
Did you ever discuss with them and say, your brother's abusing me, help me, give me the number for shelter, take me with you?
I told Barb that, yeah, he was abusive. They know.
And what did she say?
She didn't say nothing.
Did you ever mention that to anybody before today?
No.
That you had told Barb? Okay. What about the mother, Brenda? Did you ever mention to her your son is abusing me.
No, they knew. They were there.
They saw him abuse you?
No, they didn't see it, but they were,
Are they psychic?
no.
So how did they know that he was abusing you? Did they see bruises on you?
I don't know.
Did they see black eyes on you? And believe me, I'm not at all minimizing abuse. I want to be very honest
Yeah.
and ask you, did it rise to that level in your version? Was there physical abuse?
Yes.
Okay, and did they see manifestations of that physical abuse?
They didn't see it, but they heard us, yes.
So they heard you guys yelling in a house where so many people live, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after this situation happened with Nathan, you guys got back together. Did he take any abusive actions towards you? He welcomed you back in his home, correct?
Yes.
And he accepted your son Brandon into his life, correct?
Yes.
And did he ever treat Brandon any different than he treated Jimmy?
Well, he was a baby. He didn't really hold them or do nothing with them.
Okay, but did he ever complain that, oh, we've got, I only make so much money, I've got to buy diapers and wipes for this little kid, or formula, or anything? Did he ever complain about you having to use any of the resources to take care of little Brandon?
Yeah, he kind of got mad about it.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like, he would get mad because he had to spend money on somebody else's kid,
So what would he say?
that he didn't want to have to spend the money.
And how often did that happen?
I don't know, not all the time.
Once in a while?
Yeah.
Would it happen like when you go to buy wipes on sale and all of a sudden you spend like $40 on a bunch of wipes?
Yeah.
Right?
Something like that,
Okay.
yeah.
And did you ever bring that to anybody's attention?
I told his dad that he should buy a box of diapers instead of a bag of diapers.
Okay. Did he ever mistreat Brandon in any way, shape, or manner?
No.
Okay. Did he, basically, when it came to the holidays and stuff, would he treat Jimmy and Brandon the same?
Yeah.
Now, at the second statement is an hour at your mom and dad, well, the first statement. We're going to use your vernacular, okay? The third statement, where does that take place?
The school.
And how long does that statement last?
3-4 hours.
Okay. And do you remember how long into that statement you first mentioned anything about the K-Swiss shoes?
No.
Do you remember it's more than after an hour and a half, 2 hours? Is it closer towards the end of the 5-hour interview?
Maybe towards the end. I don't remember.
Okay. And you're there for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And they keep telling you, they keep asking you, does James VanCallis like to watch porn on TV or the internet, correct?
No.
No, I'm not asking for an answer. I'm saying they kept asking you that, correct?
No, they didn't ask me that.
They never asked you?
No.
Did they keep asking you if you had interest in girls and stuff?
They asked what kind of girls he liked.
And you told them, right?
Yeah.
17, 18, younger, blonde
Yeah.
hair, and whatever, correct?
Yes.
And the issue did come up about the porn, right? Somebody asked you, and you said, no, he doesn't watch porn.
I don't remember them
Okay.
asking about porn.
I'll bring that to your attention. But, I mean, it is your position that he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, there may be other than he will read, he doesn't do any drugs or alcohol, right?
Right.
Okay, so now you're in this interview with these people, and you're talking about these things, and at some point, did they not say to you, Crystal, what's going to happen to your kids?
No.
If that's on tape, are you denying that that's what happened?
No, they didn't say they were going
What did they say? What's your recollection of the subject of the kids coming up?
I think I mentioned it.
Well, you mentioned that after they said, who's going to watch your kids, or who's going to take care of your kids, right?
What do you mean about who's going to take care of them?
Well, I mean, that's basically, do you remember the officer saying something open-ended to you, like who's going to watch your kids? We know that you know more than you know. First, they started off by telling you you know more than you know, right?
I think so. I don't remember.
Well, let's just back this up, okay? In accordance with what Mr. Cataldo asked, you were not employed at this time, right? At July 24th, or thereabouts, right?
Yeah.
You were?
I was there. No, I was there at the house.
No. You were not employed, working at the time.
Oh, no.
You were not working at the time, okay. And James was not working, right?
No.
Okay. It's a big house, right?
Yes.
A lot of place to go stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the police were reasonably assuming that he was growing marijuana and that you knew about it, because you could not be living in a house with nobody working and bills are being paid and you got power every other day and all the other luxuries of life, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they kept drilling that into you. Am I right or wrong? Did you know more than you're telling us and you're holding back?
No, they knew that I was holding stuff back, but they didn't say that.
They didn't spell it out like that, but they
No.
kept saying you know more,
Yeah.
right? And they kept also telling you that because you stay in this house and, you know, about the income and everything else, that you've got to know about the whole
Yeah.
process, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you became scared because you had a prior CPS case, right? Child Protective Services?
My
No.
objection, Your Honor, first of all, there's no validation of that. What is the relevance of that to this investigation?
Because first of all, Your Honor, Secretary was asked a whole lot of questions, and then that's about relevant about trying to make Mr. VanCallis seem like a controlling individual. Second thing is when we come into this situation, she said she's scared of the kids. It was a raw nerve with her. She said she brought the children up, so I think I have a right to at least explore did she have particular sensitivity to her children being taken from her or something being kicked in that direction. That's why I'm asking.
Your Honor,
Your response?
the questions I asked, we knew from the preliminary exam that Mr. Sheik was going to ask questions concerning why the information wasn't as forthcoming as he would have wished. We've established the fact that she was in an environment that was very difficult for her to, and the fear that she had, I don't want to call it dominated or controlled or abused, but there is a reason, and that's the reason why she did not immediately indicate all that information. That being said, that establishes why we did that. As for the threats by his allegations of action or state action to remove the children to get her to make a statement, those are allegations that he wishes to make to her. Those questions are fine. But what's the relevance if there was or wasn't, and I'm not aware that there was any prior action CPS-wise, and what's the relevance to this point that he's attempting to make as to why she should or shouldn't have?
What was your last question?
The last question was that weren't you scared that this might affect any possible CPS case you had pending, something to that effect?
Well, we haven't established that there was one pending.
Okay.
Can you establish that there was one pending?
That's what I would like to ask her.
Well, you didn't.
Okay. Did you have a CPS case pending on July of 2000? You did not?
No.
Okay.
Move on. Thank you.
Do you remember saying to the police, I'm scared to death to lose my kids, or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what made you say that statement if they hadn't somehow put your kids in jeopardy? I mean, why would you all of a sudden say, I love my kids to death to the police? And explain to me how that came up.
Like, what do you mean?
Okay. The police are not discussing with you the possibility of taking your kids or anything, right?
Right.
And you just blurted out, I love my kids to death. I don't want to lose them.
No, I was worried about my kids. It scared me.
What scared you?
The whole case and having to talk to everybody.
And how did you think that would impact your kids? To the point where you're telling the police you're worried about. I mean, how was that affecting your kids in a locked administration building in the city of Armada?
Because James always said he was going to get me in trouble.
Who said that?
James.
James,
Yes.
the defendant?
Yes.
And so in all those 9 years, you never thought to tell the police or anybody else about any of this abuse or controlling stuff that supposedly James did, correct?
No.
Even that time that you were with Nathan, or the time that you guys were separated, and time you were back home with your parents, even then you never followed up on it, correct?
No.
One second. On this day in question that they were talking about, July 24th, when Mr. VanCallis returned from his trip to his brothers, He initially asked you if you would do the laundry for him, right?
Yes.
And you told him you refused. You said, I don't want to, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened next? How did it end up in the washer?
He put it in there.
Okay. And did he also put your clothes in there with you too, so there'd be a full load?
Yes.
Okay. And did he hide it from you at all?
No.
Did he in any way prevent you from trying to look at the clothes because there may be blood or grass or hair or anything on them?
No.
He basically handed them to you first, right? And then after you refused, then he took them back
No,
and
he
went
set
to
them in the pile on the floor.
Okay. Now, you had indicated today that you know that there's 5 or 6 dogs at that house, right?
Yes.
At that time?
Yes.
And was there time that they would have accidents or just go to the bathroom outside somewhere?
Yeah.
And would there be times that people coming back to the home, whether it was you or somebody else, would have to wipe or clean their shoes?
No.
That never happened?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to take you back to page 124, the transcript. At the preliminary exam, you were asked how many dogs live at that house or lived there on July 24, and I believe you indicated 5 or 6, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to want to change that answer?
No, as far as I know, no.
Okay,
I haven't
go ahead.
been to that house or know if the dogs died or any of that.
Okay. And you were also asked on page 124, do they have accidents? Do they go to the bathroom outside quite a bit? And your response was, yeah. Do you have any reason to dispute that?
No.
And then you were asked all over the lawn and stuff, and you indicated, yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any reason to want to change that answer today?
No.
And then you were asked, have you stepped in doo-doo? And you indicated, yes.
Yes, I have before. Yeah.
Well, isn't that what I kind of just asked you?
Like, what do you mean?
Didn't I just ask you a while ago that had people stepped in dog feces coming in and out of
Yes.
that? And you said no, right?
Yeah. I didn't understand you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll talk slowly, okay? On page 125, you asked, are there instances where you came in and you had to take feces off your shoes once you came into the house? And you indicated, yeah, this is on page 125. Is there any reason that you would want to change that?
No.
And then at the bottom of line 125, you were asked, it's happened to virtually everybody that lives in that house, correct?
Yes.
And you, well, I know, but that's what you said, yes, right?
Yes.
So why are you telling the ladies and gentlemen of the jury today that never happened?
I
That
didn't
nobody stepped
understand
in
you.
poop? Huh?
I didn't understand you.
Okay, would you like me to talk softer and
Yes.
slower? Softer and
Please.
slower? Okay, I will do that, okay? Is there any other answer that you want to change?
No, yeah, people have stepped in dogs' crap.
Okay, so, I mean, we can argue all day, but we can't say it was common or uncommon, but certainly
Yeah,
now you
everybody
admit
has,
that it
yes.
happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you also admit it wasn't unusual for people to want to clean the feces off their shoes, correct?
Yes.
And you yourself have done that, correct?
I never cleaned them off. I just left them. I never cleaned the shoes.
You never took poo-poo off the shoes?
No, I just left them out there to dry, like outside, and then, like.
And then
yeah.
deal with it later?
Yes.
Okay,
Never wiped nothing, no.
okay. You know what I'm going to do to make this a little bit smoother is, it may seem disjointed, but I'm going to follow the transcript. That'll make it easier for me to find these things. First of all, that was on page 78. I think I may have already indicated to Mr. Cataldo. I said, do you know approximately when you stopped in with James VanCallis and you indicated July 28th, 2014? Now you're saying that you do recall it being the 29th, correct?
Yes.
If you remember being asked if he had a pair of black and white Jordans?
Yes.
And do you remember indicating he did?
Yes.
Okay. Do you also remember being asked if he had K-Swiss shoes?
Yes.
And you indicated he did, right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that was the box that you referred to a couple of times, right?
Yes.
The K-Swiss box, okay. You were asked that did Mr. James VanCallis ride his bike a lot in the summer of 2014? You indicated all the time. Do you have any reason to dispute
No.
that? You've already covered the helmet. Do you remember about what time Mr. VanCallis left the house on July 24th?
Between 4:30 and 5.
Okay. And how do you know that today?
Like, what do you mean?
How do you recall so quickly exactly what time that is?
Because I went over my notes.
You went over the transcripts with the prosecutors
Yes.
so you could tell the
Yes.
jurors what they needed to hear? Okay. And what vehicle did he leave in? Do you remember?
The bike.
Okay. And did he have a backpack with him?
Yes.
And what kind of clothing was he wearing? Do you remember?
Gray camouflage pants and a football T-shirt.
And again, all these are answers from the transcripts that they just went over with you. Is
No,
that
I
correct?
remember. Yes.
You were asked, were these standard green camo pants or were they slightly different? Do you remember indicating they were gray?
Yeah, they were gray.
Okay. And the same ones that he wore when he came back home, right?
Yes.
What time do you recall James coming home that night on the 24th of July?
8:30 or 9.
Okay. It would have surprised you to know that's your exact answer on page 94. Do you remember reviewing that answer as well?
Yes.
Do you remember being asked where was James going on the 24th?
To his brothers, Donnie's.
That actually is word for word what you indicated on page 95, right? To his brother Donnie's. Any reason to dispute that?
No.
And in what city is that?
Armada.
Now, you indicated that James was cleaning his shoes with the hand sanitizer, correct?
Yes.
And a sock.
Yes.
And at least in response to Mr. Cataldo's question, you had indicated you had not seen Mr. VanCallis do this before, correct?
No.
How long had that hand sanitizer sat in the place that we saw on the earlier pictures?
Like, what do you mean, how long? Like, sitting there for...
Was it just that day? Was it a week? Or was that the normal place where it would be at?
I don't know. We were using it to every time we held the baby.
Okay. So just again, so ladies and gentlemen, that the jury can get a clear picture. It's not like on the 24th of July, Mr. VanCallis came home between 8:30 and 9 with a bottle of hand sanitizer that he just bought, put it next to the computer, took off his shoes and started cleaning them with socks with this new hand sanitizer, correct? Because the hand sanitizer had already been there for a while.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, who bought that hand sanitizer? Do you remember?
I think James did.
Okay. And you both used it because you would scrub your hands before you play with the
Yeah.
child, right? And also because the bathroom was a little bit
Yeah.
kind of ghetto. Okay. And that's when you asked him, and he said something about cleaning oil off the shoes, right?
Yes.
And did you go near the shoes to see if you saw any oil or not?
No.
And you had Gino, you had James the father, and James the son living at that house, correct?
Yeah, and my 2 kids.
And your 2 kids. And would there be times that these guys would be working on the cars outside, either in the driveway or in the cement area?
They worked on the cars, yeah.
Okay, and would they be working in the garage, or would they work like in the
We didn't
driveways?
have a garage.
Okay,
it was
so in the driveways, right?
Yeah.
So would it be uncommon that there'd be oil or other automotive lubricants
No,
spread
not
out
by
all
the
over?
house.
I'm sorry?
There was never no oil or nothing by the house.
Could you put up that one picture of the house, please, that shows the driveway and stuff? Just one of the last ones. That's good enough. Ms. Crystal, may I ask you to step over here for a moment? The living quarters that you shared with Mr. VanCallis were rare in this house.
Right here, we live in this part,
Okay, and so where would he work on his car?
down here.
Okay, so you would see oil and stuff here, right?
I guess, yeah.
Well, no, I don't want you to guess.
Oil.
Okay, or other, would you ever see other
No.
oil and stuff that would change? Did he also change his engine there in his car?
I don't remember when he was changing his engine.
But you do remember that he changed the engine in the vehicle,
He
correct?
had it done he had it done.
Okay. But didn't he work on it and do the rest of the alternator and all that when he got it home?
I don't remember.
Okay, where would he have done that at? There's no garage, so the bottom line is it could have been done anywhere here, right?
Yeah, somewhere, yeah.
Thank you. You can take that down, Mr. Keith. Now, speaking of that, I know I'm jumping all over, but just a little while ago, Mr. Patello had showed you a picture of Mr. VanCallis' motorcycle, and you indicated he had done some changes to it, correct?
Yes.
When were those changes done?
No, I don't remember.
Well,
That's
let's talk about the important stuff. Everything here is relative to July 24, 2004.
It was before then.
It was before that. All right, so somebody were trying to get the implication that he came home and all of a sudden trying to change his blue and white bike into black. That would be
No.
inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
This was something that had nothing to do with anything, right?
No.
Okay.
It was already done.
That was already done. It was a done deal. Gotcha. Now, this box of K-Swiss shoes, that, or the box from those shoes, you said held important papers, right?
Yes.
Your important papers, Jane's important papers, the babies, or who's
Just
important?
everybody's, just all of ours.
Okay, and with all due respect, what do you consider important papers? Birth certificates, what sort of
Yeah,
things?
all that stuff.
Whose birth certificates were in there?
My kids and mine.
And you have not seen that box or those birth certificates since that date?
No, I got new ones.
You got a new box or you got new birth certificates?
New birth certificates.
Okay, for the kids and yourself and
Yep.
everything? Okay, good. And the last time you saw that box was what date?
Saturday
Okay,
or Friday. Was it? Yeah, Friday. Because it came up missing Saturday.
okay, so Saturday you did not see it, but Friday, which would
Yeah.
be the 25th, right?
Yes.
Now, are you certain of that, or are you not sure?
Yeah, I'm certain.
You're certain that it was on Friday the 25th?
Yes.
Page 103, please, sir. You were asked at line 5, when was the last time, I guess, that you saw the box and those shoes? And there you answered the 24th. Were you wrong then, or are you wrong today?
Like, what do you mean?
Okay.
The box, it came up missing after he was cleaning them.
Okay. All right. We won't. We're not going to spend too much time on that. Now, you indicated that at some point Mr. VanCallis indicated to you something like, stick by me, I messed up, or
Yes.
if you could take a moment, can you try to remember the exact words?
That he messed up and he needed me to stand by his side, and that he stood by me through Brendan and me leaving Nathan.
Okay, did he ever elaborate?
Like, what do you mean?
Did he ever go into detail as to what it is that precipitated him asking you to stand by him?
No.
Never. So you never really found out what it was about, correct?
No.
Okay. And he'd asked you to stand by him before, right? Because you guys have been through ups and downs, through both of your indiscretions. I mean, you had one time had an affair with a fellow you worked with at the pickle factory, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys stuck with each other through that, correct?
Yes.
And so, and he, you know, I mean, in all honesty, he had stepped out a time or two, too, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so you two would have this Jerry Springer type of stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you stuck by him and he stuck by you, right?
Yes.
Now that grass or hay that you said that you saw in, was it in the jacket?
It was in the hoodie.
In the hoodie. You saw it prior to putting these articles of clothing into the washer or upon retrieving them from the dryer?
After they were washed.
After they were washed, okay. And just give us an idea, was it in the right sleeve, left sleeve, or
I
where
don't
was it?
remember what sleeve. I
Okay.
just,
And with your hands, hold your hands up so the jury could see them. Give us an idea of, you know, was it like a golf ball size, smaller, bigger?
small little,
Well, try to indicate with your hands so they have some idea.
like this much, like just a little wad of hair.
Okay, now from what I'm seeing from looking at your hands, Crystal, and hold your hand up there, it seems like less than half the size of a golf ball. Is that correct?
Well, like down here, yeah.
Okay, may I come closer? Turn your hand this way. Are you talking about the distance in
Yeah.
here, or are you talking about the circle in here?
Right here.
This distance, right?
Yes.
So what would you say that's about a half inch?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You could put your hand, oh, you did, okay. When you say that, that's how
Like it
the
was,
ball,
yeah.
the wad was, right? And I think you indicated that when you saw it, you never told James or anybody else about it, correct?
Yes.
You simply put it on the windowsill of the bathroom sink?
I put it on the bathroom sink.
Okay, on the sink, I'm sorry, I thought it was a sill. And never saw it again?
No.
Okay. You don't know who took it, what happened to it?
No.
Got flushed, whatever. And was it one piece or was it like a couple of pieces?
Just like it was wadded up.
Okay. Now you have taken care of your hair. Have you ever tried to style it or play with it yourself and do different things with it?
My hair?
Yeah. Over times, maybe when you were a teenager, just try to ponytail or anything.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So you know what hair feels like, right?
Yes.
So was this, you indicated you thought it was grass or hay. Do you have a
The
specific
hair
answer to that?
was human hair.
It was human hair. Now, you never said that before, have you? Do you remember referring to it constantly as grass or hay?
There was a little bit of grass and hay in there too. Not in the hair, but in the hoodie.
Okay, let's back up. So, at the exam and at all times prior, you had indicated that this was a mixture of grass and hay, correct?
Yeah.
And you thought it could be hair. Now you're saying
No,
that
there
it's-
was hair in there too.
that it's hair in there.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to the grass and the hay?
I put that up there too.
So two things came out of the hoodie?
Yes.
Uh-huh, okay. So one little ball was composed of the grass and the hay, correct?
No, that wasn't, that was just like, I put it up on, like I said, the bathroom sink.
Okay, but two things came out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what came out first, the hair or the grass and the hay?
I think I pulled up the grass and the grass, it was like grass or hay, I don't remember.
Okay, was it intertwined?
No, it was just little pieces.
Just little pieces. So you set that up there, right?
Yeah.
And then you reached in there and that's when you got the hair.
I found hair after, yeah.
And then, now, have you ever, prior to today, indicated that there was two things that you pulled out?
Yeah.
When? When did you indicate that?
I told that when I went in for my interview.
Do you remember at the exam and all throughout, whenever I questioned you about it, and you said it was just one clump of whatever it was? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I said it was hair.
But you did say it was one clump, though, right?
Yeah, it was like a wadded up hair.
Okay, we're not going to argue about that too much. In the times that you lived with these folks out there at their house, was it common that they would have to call for extra trash pickup?
No,
Never?
no.
Wasn't there a lot of garbage there?
There was when they were cleaning out the cage, yeah.
Okay, and you guys were all in the process of cleaning out the cage, right?
Yes.
Now, I know I was shocked when I heard about this at the exam. Would you tell ladies and gentlemen of the jury how big this cage is? The cage that you're talking about?
I don't remember how, like, peek by, like, how big it was.
But was it big enough to hold this entire jury?
Yeah.
So we're talking much more than a little something to hold Lassie, right? We're talking about a zoo type of cage, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was full of debris and garbage and things from over the years, correct?
Yes.
And there was a process going on at the house already to try to get those things out and separate them and throw them in garbage, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was nothing nefarious about ordering a pickup when you have that much garbage, correct?
As far as I know, no.
Okay, and everybody was involved in the cleanup, yourself included, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think we've been through this already. Mr. VanCallis had a goatee, a little bit of mustache, and he made no changes to his appearance from the time of the incident to the last time that you saw him, correct?
No.
Okay. When did you first tell the police about this story of Mr. VanCallis washing his shoes? Do you remember, was it in the first statement?
No.
Second?
I don't remember.
Okay, but one of the subsequent ones, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember that final statement you made where you first indicated about the case with shoes and all this stuff was around the 1st of August? Does that ring the bell?
The 30th,
It was
yeah.
the 30th of August. It was in August, though, right?
No, it was the night, the 30th is when they came.
When they came to talk to you?
Yes.
Okay. But you made the statement after the first, or you don't recall that?
I don't remember.
Okay. If I showed you on page 118, you were asked a couple of weeks after the 30th, and your answer was no, after the 1st of August. Would you dispute that, or?
Yeah, it was after the first, yeah, after the first, like you're saying, when they asked about the shoes.
That's fine, ma'am. That's fine. And I think I asked you that while you were being questioned for 4 or 5 hours, the different detectives come in and out during that time period, correct?
Yes,
And you indicated yes, right?
yes.
Okay. And I don't know if I may have a little bit of latitude with the language. They kept telling you, we don't think James VanCallis said messed up. We think he said fucked up, right?
No,
They didn't say that?
no, I don't think they said that, because I said he messed up. No.
Right. And didn't they keep saying we don't think he uses words like messed up and he... And,
No.
well, let me ask you again. On page 122, question was, and they said, we think that in his vocabulary he would have said fucked up and you're covering up for him. And your answer was no, he would have said messed up, right?
Yes,
Okay. And then I asked you on line 5, they kept telling you we know James VanCallis, and your answer was yes, right?
yes,
And based on what we know about him, he wouldn't use words like messed up, and your answer was yes, right?
yes.
And then I said he would use words like fucked up, and you said yes. Would you like to see this?
I don't remember.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at this transcript? Would it help you to take a look at it?
No, that,
Are you disputing it in any way?
like, what do you mean?
Are you saying that what I just said is that I typed this up or I photoshopped it or something?
No,
So you did indicate that, right? That you were, okay, all right, thank you. You were asked that when Mr. VanCallis had allegedly said to you something about messing up, it was in reference to growing marijuana illegally. This is on page 123. And you said, and I think there's no secret Mr. James VanCallis at the time was growing marijuana illegally, correct? And your answer was yes, right?
yes,
So you thought it was in reference to that, correct?
yes.
Okay, and then going back to the statement where you finally gave a different story. I asked you that this is the police officers. This is on page 128, gentlemen. Did they range from being real nice and friendly to being very combative with you? And you indicated yes and no. Does that sound appropriate?
Yes.
Okay. And then I said, well, in other words, did some detectives come in there and basically yell at you or tell you you're hiding stuff and that you're going to go to jail? And your answer was yes.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. And that you're going to lose your kids? Yes.
Yes.
Well, would you like to look at that? Because you just said that nothing...
They never threatened me to take my kids.
Ma'am, the last thing I want to do is argue with you, please. So let me just ask you this. All I'm asking you is, do you remember saying that at the preliminary exam, or would you like to look at your transcript?
I don't remember saying it.
Would you like to take a look at it? Would that help you realize if you did or not? That's page 128. Line 23. You can just read it to yourself. Do you have any reason to believe that I fabricated this? That I made this up?
No.
So it does in fact say that you were asking that, and that you're going to lose your kids, and you indicated yes.
Yes.
And then went on to say that, and that you must know something more, right? Because you've known Mr. VanCallis 8.5, 9 years. You must know more. Do you remember those?
No.
You don't remember? Would you like to see it?
Was that on there?
Yeah, that's on page 129. Would you like to see it? Does that help refresh your recollection, Ms. Stadler?
Yes.
Also on page 129, on line 14, you were asked a question, and so you changed your story, or you changed the scenario of what happened several times to accommodate them, correct? And your answer on line 17 was yes. Are you disputing that as well, or no?
Did I say that?
It's certainly what the transcripts reflect. And then it says, and why is that? I'm sorry, then the next line is, after you say yeah, question, okay, so you were very scared of losing your children, correct? And you indicated yes.
Yes.
And then you were asked, and why is that? And because you said, because I love my children to death.
Yes.
Is any of that a fabrication that I'm making up?
What do you mean?
Am I lying about any of this? Is this?
No.
Okay. So it's on the real, right? And you were asked again on page 130, you were very concerned about losing your children, and your answer was yes. You don't dispute that either, right? Also on page 130, this is again talking about the police in your last interview. They indicated to you, they put you in a black and white situation and tell you you're either with them or with James VanCallis, one of the two. No gray area, no other way to be correct. And your answer was yes. Do you dispute that? You have to say yes or no.
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you, Miss. And then this is on page 131, line number 7. I asked you, now in this one, did the K-Swiss shoes come up? Referring to that conversation, your answer is yes. And then the question, for sure they came up in this one, and your answer is yes, they did. And the question was prior, you couldn't recall, right? And you indicated yes. So do you remember now indicating that that's when all this came up, after the situation with the kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me just get off track for a minute. Are you saying anything because you're nervous or intimidated by me or Mr. VanCallis?
I am nervous.
That's fine. I think we all are to a great extent. Is there anything I could do to ease your nervousness so that the jury has accurate answers?
Yeah, well, what kind of question is that, Your Honor? I think it's abusive, and I think it's inappropriate. If he wants to soften his voice and play act at this point, that's fine. But let's just ask real questions.
So ask if you wanted water or something to make her comfortable.
If she wants water, she can ask. I'll give her water. Ask your next question.
Okay. Am I going okay at the pace that I'm going? Okay. So I just want to make sure she was comfortable. again, back to page 132, this is the same interview, and I asked you, back to what I was saying about the police tactics. One would come in and be combative and physically yell at you, and then left, and then another would come in and said, Crystal, I didn't know what was happening. I heard some yelling. Tell me what's going on. Tell me. Do you remember them playing that hard guy and sweet guy?
No, I don't remember.
Well, would you like to see it? Would you like to see the transcript? This is page 132. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
So basically, one officer would come in and kind of firmly ask you some questions and stuff, and if he didn't get what he wanted, he would leave, and then the next one would come in real nice and say, what's going on? I heard some yelling. Do you remember that now?
Yeah.
Okay. I already asked you, but basically you indicated that the process of cleaning the house, the cage, and all that had started well before the 24th, correct?
Yes.
And I may not have asked you this. Do you remember, was that process initiated by Mrs. VanCallis, James's mother?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Now, I want you to think about this. I'm going to go nice and slow, okay? Do you remember me asking you, did there come a time that Mr. VanCallis was looking for his shoes, and you either joked or said somehow, how do you know that they didn't commit a crime with them and plant them? Do you remember saying anything to that effect to him?
No.
Okay, and you indicated, no, I don't remember, and that's exactly right. And then I said, could you have said something like that? And then your answer was, I could have. Do you remember saying that?
No.
Okay. I'll come up and show you, but I'll go a couple more lines because it's all on the same page.
Okay.
139, sir. And I said, why would you have said something like that if you recall? And your answer was, because he's done things in the past. My question was to you, and then your answer was just, I don't know. And then the next question on line 13, so in other words, you wouldn't rule out the fact that you said something to him to the line of, how do you know I didn't use the shoes in a crime or plant them on you? And you indicated, yeah. And then I said, you're not ruling that out. And you said, no. I said, you might have said that, and you indicated I might have said that. I'm going to quote you to see this page 139, okay? Is that pretty much the answer, question and answer session that you and I had back and forth at the district exam on
Yes.
this case? Okay. No reason to think any of this is fabricated or stretched, correct?
No. Fine.
Do you remember when we were talking about that clump of hair? I'll take you back to it at the exam. Hay and straw is what you referred to it at the exam. Do you remember indicating that Mr. VanCallis had cut the lawn that day?
No, he didn't.
He did not? Page 145. May I approach you with that help?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing a hoodie when he was cutting the grass.
So he was cutting the grass, but he just wasn't wearing a hoodie, correct?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing a hoodie.
Okay.
It was warm out.
Okay, but just so that, ladies and gentlemen, the jury aren't confused, when I just asked you, is out cutting the lawn, you said no, and then I showed you and it says yeah, but the no refers to him not wearing a hoodie when he
Yes.
cut the lawn, correct?
No, yeah, not wearing a hoodie.
This is what I was looking for. Page 140. Do you remember me asking you, do you remember him having any kind of reddish or pinkish or any kind of tint to his hair on the 24th? And your answer was no.
Yes. But it does have red in it when it's in the sun.
Okay, again, ma'am, I don't want to argue with you. All I'm asking you is that today when Mr. Cataldo asked you, because he saw what was, or whatever, those are his reasons, he thought to ask you that does Mr. VanCallis' hair seem reddish or pinkish in the summer around that time. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you said, yes, Mr. Cataldo, it does.
Yes.
You remember saying that?
Yes.
And now do you remember me asking you that very, very, very question under oath in a court of law, and you
It's
said
really not
no.
the same question, Your Honor. His question is, what color was his hair? My question was, in the sun, does his hair change? So it's not the same question.
It's not the same.
It's
I'll
not.
agree.
It's not exactly the same, Your Honor. I will rephrase it. Or not rephrase it, I will restate it. I said, do you remember him having any kind of reddish or pinkish or any kind of tint to his hair on the 24th? And your answer was no, right?
Yes.
Just 1 second, Your Honor. Did you at times help James change his oil or work on his car?
So, I never, no. I was out there, but I never
But
help him.
you'd be out there kind of keeping the company while you worked on it, correct?
Yeah.
And so you knew he would change his oil and maintain the fluids of his vehicles right out there on the driveway, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would the children be out there with you as well?
Yeah, sometimes.
Can you put that picture of the house back up for a second, Mr. Keith? I think by now you probably remember the number better than... Crystal, may I ask you to step over here for a second? Where was Mr. VanCallis' vehicle parked when took the engine out and when the student engine and the oil change on it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Now, do you know, was it unusual for Mr. James VanCallis to go visit either his friend Muse or his friend, or his brother Donnie?
No.
Was it pretty common in the summertime for him to get on the bike and go?
Yeah.
And would he always call him first, or would he just take off?
He'd just go.
He would just go. So on this particular day, if he went by, well, did you know that Mr. VanCallis and Mr. Muse's wife, did they get along well or not too well?
I don't know. I never really went with them. They seemed like when we went out to dinner before, they got along fine.
Oh, okay. And so there was nothing unusual about Mr. VanCallis leaving his home at or about 5:30 to go visit Donnie and or James, correct?
No.
Okay. Did you know that Donnie would sometimes or often stop at Tim Hortons on the way home?
No.
You did know that, okay. Other than just going to his brother's house, would there be other reasons that Mr. VanCallis would go into the town of Armada?
No.
Where would you folks normally go to do your shopping? What's the closest town out there?
Marysville or Port Huron.
They're closer than Armada is?
Yeah, there wasn't a store in Armada.
Okay. I don't want to take you back to a bad time, but is there a reason why you never reported any of this abuse or never brought it up until now?
Scared?
Are you scared right now as we sit here today?
No.
Do you know that in part of executing a search warrant, the police also went through the drains at the house, right? Did you know that or did you not know?
No.
You don't. Have you ever been to Donnie's house?
Yeah.
How many bathrooms does he have?
I think he's got one.
Okay. Thank you, and congratulations on your new baby, okay?
Thank you.
Take care. Nothing further.
James doesn't actually tint his hair. That was the question. Does he actually put tint in his hair?
No.
My question was, when the sun hits it, if he's out in the sun a lot, it seems to be lighter.
Yes.
And that's what your answer was?
Yes.
Mr. Sheik was attempting to indicate to you that you never mentioned the word hair at the preliminary exam that came out of the pocket.
I thought I did.
Okay, well, yes. He just didn't read the line to you. He had you look at line 145 about cutting the grass. Do me a favor, would you look at the 7 lines right above that line that he asked you and the other questions he asked you?
You said line 7?
Just you see what my orange lines are? Do me a favor, just read these lines right here. To yourself. Does that refresh your recollection?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
In fact, he asked you, was the hair that you saw, was it consistent with or was it lighter than the hair? And you indicated it was like her color, and the question was, it was like her color, and you answered yes. And right before that, he'd asked you the question about whether you'd seen April Millsap's hair. So at the exam, he asked you to compare the hair that you found to April Millsap's hair, and you indicated to Mr. Cheek directly that it was like April Millsap's hair.
I don't remember her hair color.
I get a sense this is a very difficult experience for you. Is that a yes?
Sorry.
So sometimes either the questions I'm asking are confusing, and sometimes the questions Mr. Sheik is asking are confusing.
Yes.
You just sometimes seem to go along to get along, just answer the question because it's just, you're confused by what's being asked.
Yes.
Like this, planted the shoes. Did you ever plant the shoes?
No.
Did the police ever ask if you planted the shoes?
No.
Was that a question made up by Mr. Sheik that confused you when he asked you that question?
Yes.
Because he's going to probably come back up and ask more questions about that. Did you plant those shoes?
No.
Did you even joke to James about planting those shoes?
No.
I mean, was it an atmosphere around the house at that time that was humorous?
No.
I mean, you went through hours of interviews with the police.
Yes.
Sometimes there were officers who were aggressive and some officers were less aggressive.
They
in
were
questioning.
louder than normal, yes.
And I guess I equate loud with aggressive. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a purpose to it. I mean, you've answered some questions here inconsistently. You may have answered questions there inconsistently. Is it that you're trying to mislead, or is it difficult for you?
Like, what do you mean?
Is it, I guess, frightening? Is it a new experience? Were you trying to help? Were you trying to be afraid? Just what were your emotions
Like, about what?
when you were answering those questions when you were at the police department for all those hours?
Nervous, scared, shooken up.
Is it any different than being here? You feel the same emotions here?
No, I just feel nervous.
When you're on that stand as you were at the other hearing, you're simply answering the questions that are being asked?
Yes.
Did I ask you any questions about abuse at that hearing?
I don't think you did.
Do you know my reasons for not doing that then?
No.
Do you know what that hearing is and how that hearing is different than this hearing?
No, I don't know.
In fact, when you inquired about the shoes, it was Jim who shut you down aggressively when you asked that question.
Yes.
And that was in the presence of James.
Yes.
Did you feel comfortable enough in ever bringing that question back up again
Like, to the police?
to James about the shoes?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Cataldo just asked you about different kinds of hearings. You know that there was a difference between the hearing that we had in December of 2014 and the one we have today, correct?
Yes.
And in that one was a judge, correct?
Yes.
There was no jury, right?
Yes.
And in this one is a jury and a judge,
Yes.
but the jury is predominantly making decisions, correct?
Yes.
Take your time answering this. In your opinion, is there any difference in which one you need to tell the truth at more?
Both of them?
Equal?
Like, what do you mean? Yeah.
No, would
both
you
of
like
them.
want to tell more truth in front of the judge or the jury or
Both.
Both. And in terms of before you take the oath, are you basically asked to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, correct?
Yes.
So now when Mr. Cataldo asked you, you weren't asked about abuse, you weren't asked about shoes, and who all was there. We could get into that for 100 years about all kinds of different why nots, correct?
Yes.
The bottom line is you were asked some questions under oath in a court of law at a hearing having to do with this case, right?
Yes.
And the questions that I just alluded to and the answers were the answers that you gave, correct?
Yes.
And some of them are different than just the ones you gave earlier today, correct?
Yes.
I mean, for example, about the hair, you know, I mean, because Mr. Cataldo's saying that I'm talking about he tinted his hair. So you said he's always got a tint every summer, and you said he did not, right?
Yes.
Same thing about whether you left the house on the 28th or the 29th, right?
Yes.
Same with whether multiple people were present or nobody was present when he supposedly said this to you about the case to his shoes, right?
Yes.
Same with about losing your children, correct?
Yes.
You said no, 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 and then when I showed you, I mean, am I doing something to make you give
No, I'm
inappropriate
just
answers?
really nervous.
Okay. Have I in any way tried to mislead you?
No.
Thank you. I hope you have a pleasant weekend. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on Tuesday at 10:30.
All rise for the jury.
Weekend. You're all supposed to watch the Pro Bowl and think how wonderful it would be to be in Hawaii. See ya.
Court should be adjourned there.
I wish we could have court in Hawaii.
We're all done.
I'm in.